Show you how to trim and season a brisket, or at least how I do it. So first off, I mean, this is a pretty decent looking brisket. I try to find like the worst one, so that way you can see worst case scenario what you do. So usually I flip it over. I like to trim this big old piece of fat off first. So pretty much just trim it till it's like even at the bottom. You don't need to go in there and dig the whole piece out. It'll cook out, and then you can pull it out the end. But it has like a little weird piece like that. You want to trim it off, and then like that. You can, if you want, you can trim all this fat off. I usually don't. I mean, it'll just cook away, and you know, no one's gonna lift and look at the bottom of the brisket anyways. So after I do that, the next thing you want to do is basically want to cut just along this edge so you can have a clean edge. See how that's it's all kind of gnarly and stuff. I'm gonna cut it at the factory, so you just want to kind of cut that part off. And then want to make it, try to clean cut as possible. So a sharp knife is preferred. So then you can just save all this for like doing sausage later. And so now that it's cut like that, you can kind of see where the meat and where the fat is, where the point and flat go together. So it'll be a lot easier to trim it now. You know how much to trim off. So it's looks pretty good at the top here, I think. You just want to have a 1/4 inch fat. You may trim a little off the bottom. Let's see here. Not too much, otherwise you're gonna go right into the meat. Trim a little bit off the top here. Yeah, so you can see like right there, that's the most you want to trim, because the meat and the fat you want to have a little bit on top. The front of this brisket's kind of weird looking. It's usually just round. This one has like, I don't know, it's a little different. They all are a little different. So I'd say just cut a little more off the top. And then this piece here, usually this part, call it the mohawk, it's usually a lot bigger. Sticks out a lot more, so I just cut that thing right off. You can use that for a sausage or something later. That way it's all kind of flat, aerodynamic. Usually I cut down on this side just about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, just so it's nice and clean looking there too. So now you can see all that fat that's between those two. I'll cut it into that, just that fat, just like that. Trim off these little extra pieces. So now you can just see where it's going into the flat, so you don't want a big old chunk of fat on there. So trim that piece off, and another little piece there. Let's see. This part's thin, we're gonna cut off anyway, so it's okay that we cut the fat off there. So now that looks pretty good. Last thing you want to do is you look at the bottom. I mean, you're always going to trim this down so you have a clean cut, but you can see this is pretty thin here, so it's just gonna not cook right. So I take the cut, one cut, and then a little piece stuck. So then that way, so that you can just save for some sausage too. It's a good piece, nice and lean. So Now you can see there's still a little extra fat there, so we can go and do very, very gently. Cut off a little bit there. But so now the whole thing's all nice and rounded, smooth. Looks pretty good. All around, I'd say that looks pretty good. There might be a little extra, too much fat here at the top, but I don't know. Sometimes you might want to cut that off. I mean, you could probably trim this whole corner pointy piece off if you wanted to. Want to make it look a little more aerodynamic or round. Probably cut that little junk off. I don't know, you could spend forever trimming this thing if you wanted, but we got to get it cooking, so we will say that's pretty good. I think right now it's going to show some, you can see right there, it's like starting to show the meat underneath it. And then you can trim this one little joker piece off. Alright, I think that's good overall. So now it's just time to season it. Flip it over to the bottom. I don't know, maybe we'll cut this off too. It's like from probably like a hook or something in the fucking cow. Alright. Alright. Looks like it's all one piece. I don't like those little hanger pieces. Never turn out good. So, first off, so we don't make a big mess, I always get foil pan to put it on. So, put it in the foil pan, that way it catches all the spice. You don't have it all over your house. I prefer not to use any type of shaker. Just use my fingers. And you can just see how it just gets right on there. Then you want to do the sides. I always make sure I get the front. So flip it over, and then you just want to gradually. So I have this mixture of spice I use, which is salt, pepper, with some charcoal. Like the charcoal they put in your toothpaste and stuff. So it gives you like a little darker black. So when you push it all down, it gives a little of a darker color than just salt and pepper. Helps it so that if you don't get the best bark with this, you pretty much always guaranteed it looks pretty good. So as long as it tastes good and it looks good, that's all that matters. Alright. So I would say overall that's pretty good. Ready to put on smoker there.